Well, you asked us what we thought they should do, and Andy Reid listened. They got it done exactly how they should have. And this is a turning point game in the Chiefs season in trying to get back to that Super Bowl. Welcome to RGR football. The Chiefs have just defeated the Las Vegas Raiders. I had to really think about that and make sure I said that right.
You were going to say Los Angeles Chargers, I thought.
That was close. Max Crosby did play. Davante Adams did play. They didn't get it done. Your Chiefs did. And I'll tell you exactly why this was a turning point game coming up later in the show. But we are going to get into it right now because this is Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. This is Ryan Going Rogue. And we thank you for being here post game. If you have questions or comments, make sure you hit the super chat. Throw them in there. Every super chat gets an answer. We're going to go through our notes and takeaways, the things that we saw and that you need to know about tonight. Right now, we'll answer a few questions along the way, and then we'll get ready for the full Q&A tomorrow night at 7 Central right here on this same channel. So, Dan, I think I feel like we've been vindicated a little bit, probably in a couple of ways. What was the biggest single takeaway for you tonight?
Well, look what happens to the offense when you target the good players. Look what happens when you target the good players. I just got to say, guys, this was very obviously we have to start getting the ball into our better playmakers' hands. And yeah, I know Rashee Rice had the drop, the concentration drop that would have been a first down. You're going to have to live with that a little bit. He had 10 targets today, guys. 10. Caught 8 of them for 107 yards and a touchdown. That's it. Like the takeaway here is that Rashee Rice needs to be the feature receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. It has to be. And the guys that you've been running out there for the majority of the snaps have to take the back burner like they did today.
Yep.
Watson had 3 targets, 1 catch. MVS, 1 target, 1 reception. Sky Moore was impactful in the first half, and then they stopped throwing him the football. Noah Gray, great game. He had great 3 catches, 3 good catches. And then obviously Isaiah Pacheco should have had 2 receiving touchdowns. Should have had two touchdowns, a receiving touchdown, and then 2 rushing touchdowns. So right now, the most explosive players in the Chiefs offense, Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, and Isaiah Pacheco. And you want to know what that happens? When those guys are the ones scoring your touchdowns and, making your big plays. Yeah, that's right. You get the W. You get the W. You walk out of Las Vegas like, oh, hey, this is what this should have been, right?
Hey, this place is shiny. We're leaving with the W. See ya. That's what I like to hear. You're absolutely right. It was nice to see that what we've been talking about for weeks on end, the proper way to go about getting this team right is exactly what happened tonight. Folks, if you have not been with us on that road, we'll tell you like it is. Whether you like it or not, or whether Andy wants to listen or not, we're going to tell you. So make sure you like, sub, and become a member here on this channel because you get all that insight. And I want to start with Pacheco because I agree with you. I think it could have been more impactful, but I have seen a lot of folks as we were on live with Locked On Chiefs just a little bit ago. If you haven't subbed over there, folks, make sure you go over there and sub as well. I got a little bit of feedback like, oh, Pacheco didn't do so good. It's 3.7 yards a carry. 3.7 yards a carry is a first down every 3 downs every damn day. Right. That is perfect. This was the kind of game that we were talking about. They were just short. I mean, for all intents and purposes, they hit the magic threshold. 15 carries for Isaiah Pacheco. Carry that bulk, put that grind on the defense, allow you to work off of it. Patrick ends up at just shy of 80% completion rating here. That's incredible. This is maybe not as flowery as we wanted to see. I think I did call this game 31-14, not 31-17, but this is exactly how it should go every week, and I'm comfortable with that. Are you?
Yeah, and unfortunately, you see the Chiefs go down early in this football game. I'm not sure what was going on, but it felt a lot like the 2022 Chiefs, did it not? That's what this game felt like. Rashee Rice, Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelce has an impact. They get it going on the ground. They get down a little bit. Their defense is more bend or break, and they score 31 points and win going away. That's what this game felt like. And it felt like a switch was flipped to 2022 when I was watching this game. The first quarter struggles, like you're like, well, what's happening here? Much like they did against the Raiders early last year. Remember that game where they had to come back and win 31-30? That kind of is what this felt like, except the defense in the second half, was pretty much shut down. Yeah, field goal, ho-hum. They didn't really do anything after that. Like the whole second half, the Chiefs were able to just let them grind out their little passes. They get them on some 3rd and longs. they force some punts. That's what this entire game felt like. So the offense executes. You did see some of the. It's really, really funny how you can see the Chiefs when they don't execute are the only time that they don't work well. They almost didn't because of the penalty, the holding penalty from Jawaan Taylor, but the drop from Rashee Rice stopped what would have probably been a scoring drive. It's right here. It's right here. It's in their own heads. I don't know about you. I wasn't fully impressed watching the Philadelphia Eagles last week. I thought the Chiefs outplayed them, and then they just threw the game away on their own. So this team, if they can get out of their own way, they're going to be able to win football games. They just are.
Agreed. I mean, and right now, Philly barely beat in overtime the Buffalo Bills today. And again, like you said, unimpressive last week in terms of the fact that like it wasn't an overwhelming victory. The Chiefs beat the snot out of the Raiders more than the Eagles beat them. So like it's all relative. And I agree with you there. We are going to get to your questions here, folks, but do want to illustrate that tonight's about our takeaways and our notes. We're going to get to that as well. Andrew, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate you, my friend. Is it just me or does the offense work better when we target just a few guys? The bulk of plays are allowed to get into rhythm. Rice, Pacheco, Kelsey need to get the ball a lot. We completely agree with you. And yes, when you have that much talent, you want to get them involved. But to the point where you weren't getting enough touches, when you're only getting 4 targets for Rashee Rice, like we've seen in some games, that's just not enough. Same thing with Pacheco. When you don't get him 15 carries plus, that's a problem. And now I think they're starting to figure that out, and they're starting to be comfortable. In my opinion, this looks like a team that now the coaching staff and the quarterback are comfortable saying, all right, I don't have that many options in the pass game. I'm just going to go with what works, and I'm going to be okay. And we're going to do it to its utmost, and it should get us a W. And I feel like that's the turning point we saw tonight.
Yeah, the Raiders gave up the most this season, have given up the most receptions to running backs in the NFL. Think it's a coincidence that the Chiefs targeted Isaiah Pacheco 5 times in this game? No. And they started off the game trying to go to a screen. They wanted to get him the ball because they knew that the Raiders aren't very good at it. And look, again, he should have had that was a receiving touchdown. They didn't challenge it. He was able to rush the ball in on the next play. It was a receiving touchdown, but that shows you this is a little bit more of an understanding. Well, we know the Raiders. We're going to just go ahead and go attack the weaknesses of the Raiders. Again, Travis Kelce diced him up. Rashee Rice was everywhere. And we finally saw what he was doing at SMU, guys. That one-on-one on the outside where he made it look so easy. He just went up, caught it, and then toe tapped. That's what he does. But here we are as a zone beating guy. I'm hopefully we see a little bit more from that on the outside going forward. And I know we got tweeted about it. The scoring drive, the scoring touchdown for Rashee Rice was on mesh, just an over route, just a drag route.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
hey, just turn it up, field and go. Like that's what we've been asking for. So. Like feature your good players. Thought Clyde ran hard today. He played well. I know that he
didn't get average, but
I'm not what this is not right. This is showing me 3 attempts for 5 yards, which is not accurate.
Right. I think he did have a big loss on that last attempt, though, if I remember correctly. I said the same thing just before we started the show. Like that didn't look like the right stat. We'll verify that one. But I agree with you. I thought he ran hard as a supplement to Pacheco. And
yes,
my only qualm is I would have liked to seen Pierre run just a little bit. You know, I want to get a feel for him as well, but that's okay. In the end, this can work for now. Let's be honest. Raiders are not a good team. You couldn't have done this game plan and this target structure against the Eagles and been successful. You would have been closer probably. But you have to be able to take those shots. But I think this lays the foundation now. We have to remember that McCole Hardman's got a thumb thing going on. He's out. He'll give you a shot or 2 a game. You're going to get Tony some touches normally. The only thing that concerns me about this is more so that they didn't need these guys. They didn't need either Jet and they didn't need Tony against the Raiders. They will against the Bills. The question for me is this is back to like the old Tony complaint, like, can he survive a season? And now we know why Andy's been sprinkling him in because it seems like the drop of a dime, the wind could blow, and Tony's going to get an injury.
Let's be very honest about this. This is also the Chiefs' doing. They shouldn't have had him as a running back, and they shouldn't have had him as a punt returner last week. He needs to only be used as a wide receiver. Just let him do that. So part of it's on them for not properly assessing their player and using him in the right function and taking him away from some of the bigger hits on punt return and as a running back. That's just kind of the fact of it. Between the tackles, running is not his thing. So Regardless, I think going forward, he'll be sprinkled in as well. And hopefully they understand that he's just a wide receiver and not anything else. I really thought that they complemented themselves well in the offensive game. They had big plays from just about all of their guys that they threw the ball 3 or more times to. Sky Moore, Noah Gray, Isaiah Pacheco, Rashee Rice, and Travis Kelce all contributed in the big chunk game. That's how you keep your offense on schedule. And then you get Isaiah Pacheco in these easy situations where he doesn't have to worry about having to get to 7+ yards an attempt. And then he can just grind out yards. And it was a good, again, it was very complimentary after they got down early, just to not panic and do what they do best. It's almost like the Patrick Mahomes double-digit deficit. Oh, here we go. It's just time to play a game, right?
Yeah, let's get after it. Basically, it's just, hey, let's turn it up. Fire away. I just want to show this because it just popped up on my screen. Are Aiden O'Connell and George Karlaftis long lost cousins? Is it just me?
They might be. I mean, George is obviously a bit thicker than good old Farva over there, but I don't know.
You take away the stash, and I think they could pass, man. I don't know. It's that Mediterranean look. I don't know. It is what it is. We'll see what happens.
Might be right about that.
You never know. Cody, early in the game, 3rd and 6, Mahomes under pressure. He missed an open intermediate crossing route instead of throwing incomplete. Why is he not seeing and developing the plays like he did in years past? It's because the same receivers aren't running them. They're not running them necessarily on time. Any little hiccup in your release throws off that timing, and that's not an excuse, but that's probably why he's already looked at that route, found that it's not developed in the proper place yet, and moved on, is my guess. Generally, you'd like to see him linger just a touch, but we all know that he doesn't have time for that. And he needs to get to the playmakers, as we've been talking about. So I'm actually glad that he just took his glance. If it wasn't there, move on, get to the next option. Wish it was complete, but I do think I'd rather see him go through reads too quickly and maybe miss somebody than to linger too long, get himself sacked. Honestly, I think he held the ball once or twice tonight that he could have probably been safer getting it out of his hand.
Yeah, I know what play is being talked about here. It's it was really the big bender to Justin Watson that was missed. But I think at the moment that Patrick actually was looking to it, that's when the pressure came in his face. And that's when you see that disconnect. And sometimes I'd love to see him get the ball there. I really would. It'd be great to just see him throw it there. But he's also trying not to, get hit in the arm as he's getting, blown up in the chest. You don't want to really take any of those hits on the arm and things like that. So, it's unfortunate, and I was frustrated too when I saw it, but I think if you go back, he wasn't actually looking at Justin Watson as he's bending over the middle of the field. So you have a little bit of timing. We did get to see a glance of Wanya Morris today. What did you think about that, Ryan?
I was just going to get to that one after this. Stephen, welcome to the memberships. Make sure, go over to Discord and get yourself connected. You just need to connect your accounts, YouTube and Discord. And Daniel Hopper, I did see your email, same concept. You just go into Discord, log in, and then you can connect your YouTube account to it, and you'll be in like Flynn. Wanya, I was happy to see him out there. I thought, let's see, I can't remember what they did on the first snap he was in, but I thought he got out of his stance well, and that was the first thing. When you're coming in cold like that, I always want to see, can you get out of your stance and be on top of it? I thought that he reacted well. I didn't see anything particularly good or bad, to tell you the truth. Just looked like a dude hadn't been on the field in a while. But I was glad to see that he was the one who came in, and that has me hopeful for the future. So did I miss a ton of stuff? What'd you take away?
No, I thought he looked actually pretty good. I think he got beat one time, and then he had a really good block on the touchdown run. From what I remember, he got run behind on one of the plays. Maybe it was the one right after where he got the first down, where Pacheco got the first down. I think he had a really nice block, and Pacheco kind of trusted him to run behind him on that play, which I'd like to see for a guy coming in. You kind of cut off of that tackle, which again is nice. So I think, I don't know for sure, but I think they might have a guy at left tackle for themselves next year if they don't want to take a tackle in the first round, which you guys hope. I hope that they don't, because I think that there are needs elsewhere that they need to address in the first round. But regardless of that, I think that Wanya played pretty good in his limited snaps.
Okay, and we'll take a look at him here coming up, folks. I'll definitely be really interested. I think that was the 8-minute mark of the third quarter. Was that right?
I believe it was the second quarter.
Oh, was it? Okay. I remember 8s. So, hey, we'll take a look at that and get back to you. Val, thanks for the super chat, buddy. Appreciate you. There has to be truth to the Stephon Diggs trade talk, especially given his brother taking shots at Josh Allen on Twitter. I know it's AFC to AFC, but is it possible? If it was possible, would you? And how could KC do it? Absolutely. Stephon Diggs is a top 5 receiver in this league. I would take him in a heartbeat. The question is, can I get him for a 2? Do I have to give up a number 1? If I absolutely have to, I can probably still live with it. I'd rather it be the 2025 number 1 than the 2024, but that's me. But either way, in this offense, Stephon Diggs, Rashee Rice are a duo that can be top 3. Stephon Diggs could lead the league. I mean, you have Adams, you have Tyreek, who's always going to get his yards, but I mean, Stephon Diggs in this offense could be that good.
Yeah, and you have your man, you have your zone beater. You have Travis still, you have the ability. That's really what the Chiefs are missing in terms of their offensive completion, is that they need a guy who can beat man and zone next to Travis. Because yes, Rice has done a good job of getting in the zone and being a guy that they go to in space. He still is not beating man coverage consistently. And the guys that are very late. There's one guy in particular that you guys will hate that I bring up. This guy Moore does beat man coverage. He just does it very, very late. And it gets him out of the route progression. It does. He does it late because he wastes route movement and he wastes a ton of time. It's his own problem. He has to get better at that. But regardless, I think Rashee Rice will get better at that, but also kind of taking some chances down the field when he's one-on-one. If you see that matchup early on, you can get that. And you can give him an opportunity, which, Patrick did today, which is nice. So yes, they could be a legitimate 1-2, one of the best 1-2 punches. And then you add Travis to that. I mean, we're talking about a legitimate trio of receivers if it were to be Stephon Diggs, but I don't believe that they will willingly trade him to the Chiefs.
Yeah, I have to agree. That said, another guy that you have in house that I think you need to feed a little bit more. You can do this with Noah Gray every single week. And if he becomes part of that group that is now fed a little bit more because he is somebody who can take advantage of what he gets, I think that's a good way to go about it. Thanks, Val. Appreciate it.
3 to 4 targets every week should be Noah Gray every single week.
Yeah, a nice steady foundation. Scott, how severe did McDuffie's injury look? I was a little concerned when he first went down. Andy in his presser said that there's nothing significant for anyone, let alone Trent McDuffie. So I feel like they maybe dodged a bullet there. It didn't seem like maybe for a play or two looked a little bit ginger about contact.
Yeah.
But it certainly didn't last through the ball game. So, Scott, I feel pretty good about where he's at. Andrew, MVS decoy and blocking Rice targeted. Yeah. That's pretty much the gist of it, Dan, right? I mean, that's what we were looking for.
That's exactly what we've been asking for. And you guys, I'm pretty sure that I did the double negative tweet yesterday, and I said that they would see a lot of Justin Watson and a lot of MBS, and that seems to have worked in our favor because it was Rashee Rice.
Well done. Steven, thanks for the super chat, buddy. Appreciate you. Raiders foolishly took a double-digit lead, and then they paid the Patrick price. I mean, what do you do? Do you hold yourself back? If you get a chance to go up double digits, you got to take it, right?
Yeah. I don't think you have a choice, but it's fun to see that happen. And it's fun to see it get erased just as fast, right?
Right. It was the quickness that it was back that I think was the big difference. That and the fact that they played better in the second half than they played in the first. That's all over my notes. Like, it looks like they're surging. And Menahue showed up more in the second half than he did in the first. I was encouraged by that because it's been kind of a couple weeks of quiet for Charles Menahue. Yeah. So I was happy to see that as well. Rice and Moore, best wide receivers on this team, feature them.
Yeah, I agree.
We're not arguing here. No. Tony still has that potential, but I just don't know. Minotaur, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Minotaur.
Yeah, very nice to see Gifted.
Love Gifted.
Expand it. We very much appreciate that, folks. If you're in the memberships, go to Discord, sign in, and then you can link your YouTube account, which Minotaur will previously have already gifted you. Thank you, Minotaur. Awesome. To that. And it's super simple. Then you get the full-on Discord experience in Rogue Nation. Make sure you check that out. The links are all down below. You can do that super simple. Memberships, very much appreciate you guys. You keep us going, as do all you super chatters, and we're going to answer all your super chats. I'm looking for a couple of guys in my notes that I did want to bring up because I think Drew Tranquill was probably underrated in terms of like the broadcast mentioning him enough this week. I think he ended up second in tackles. Wanted to say.
I thought he was kind of up and down in this game. I'll be very honest. He
Okay.
made some good plays. He got caught up on blocks multiple times. He jumped gaps before. I understand they were trying to be aggressive. I get that, especially because of the run game. I thought he was more aggressive and less patient than he needed to be on some of these plays. You need to still read where the running back's going and not just jump aggressively into every gap that you see, because then the touchdown happens that we saw.
Yeah, and on that particular play, that was going to be my big asterisk.
Yeah.
There is on that play, it cost him. I feel like he was directed in that game plan a little bit more to go attack those gaps, but that's a fair observation. So, depending on, but yes, it certainly led to that big gainer. But I felt like he and Mike Danner was just kind of like steady. Like I felt like he was there and around the ball a lot, but it wasn't the big splash plays. So kudos to Mike as well. Yeah. Jake, thank you, buddy. Narrow the circle of skill position players and the offense clicks a little bit more. But Jawaan Taylor feels bad, bro. Am I overthinking it?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Take it away.
All right, guys. Yeah, Jawaan Taylor gets penalized a lot. Jawaan Taylor is the offensive equivalency of L'Jarius Sneed. I don't care about L'Jarius Sneed's penalties because he's awesome when he's on the field, okay? And he had a kind of a rough out today against probably the best receiver in football in terms of pure receiver, not just speed. That's going to happen. Jawaan Taylor, when he's not getting penalized, is a fantastic football player. The only reason that Max Crosby got that sack was because Patrick Mahomes was moving around, because he wasn't beating Jawaan Taylor. That's the only reason that he got that sack. Jawaan was fantastic in this game. He's been fantastic just about every time it's just pure playing. The penalties are unfortunate. But again, he's the offensive equivalency of L'Jarius Sneed. I don't care so much about the penalties. Yes, they're very frustrating. Don't get me wrong. In the moment, it's like you can't do that. But
right,
I live with the results most of the time.
Yeah, on the whole, you're getting a 95% improvement.
Yeah,
there are a few plays that you're going to have to take away, but I agree with you. I wouldn't be too concerned, Jake. If he starts having a game where he strings together 4 penalties or something, then it's going to be a serious issue. But at this point, you live with the good and the bad. Kyle, thank you, buddy. What were the adjustments made on the offense and the defense between the first and second quarter? I felt like, in particular on the defensive line, I felt like they weren't jumping gaps for the 4 linemen as much. I felt like they were playing just a little bit less aggressive so they could feel where the angles were. That's what stood out to me. Derek Nottie and Amenahi were the 2 that stood out mostly. What did you see, Dan?
They stopped the big plays. In the second half, the defense didn't really allow them to throw the ball down the field, and they took away the quick wins. That was what the defense was really kind of allowing in the first half. There's one thing Aiden O'Connell does well. It's get the ball out quickly to his receivers. And when you're blitzing, there's going to be guys open. By nature, there's going to be guys open. And I think that the one thing, again, that O'Connell does is scan quickly and get the ball out quickly. And he did that very well in the first half. And he was taking some chances. That ball to the guy that I told everyone that they should be more worried about in Jacoby Myers down the right sideline where McDuffie got dinged up a little bit was a beautiful throw. You couldn't have thrown it better. If he throws it almost anywhere else, that's an incompletion. But right there, it's a win. You just got to tip your hat, okay? He made some really nice throws. I think in the second half, the defense did a great job of jumping on those quick routes. That's what they wanted to get. They wanted the quick routes. They wanted to be able to get the ball out that way, get some efficiency in the run game, and then it's open on third down. They were able to get to their Josh Jacobs earlier and got some more of those second and long and third and long situations. That's really what the adjustments were. On offense, it was, hey, let's stop shooting ourselves in the foot. And that's what they did.
And that's the way that goes. I'm with you. As far as what they need to do, they need to be able to make sure that they can lock that down and maybe not wait for the halftime. You know what I mean? Like I'd like to see them be a little bit more free flowing with that. It seems like they do need a regroup point, but that's just a nitpicking on my part there, Kyle. Appreciate you. Callie, hope you had a good time. I'm guessing you weren't traveling this time, so cheers. They got a W. This Modelo tastes great today. Well, I'm glad to hear it, buddy. I was actually on Beechwoods Citraholic IPA today. So I need to keep
Yeah.
Rice involved, and I like how they use Sky. I agree. And no matter what you think about Sky, he plays hard. And I think we can all agree on that. Whether it's productive or
Absolutely.
not, I think we see that. Javante, appreciate you. Thanks for the streaming the games,
Thank you,
Steve
Javante.
Keys. Well done, Stevie, our technical
Awesome,
genius.
Stevie.
Home stretch. We can't go into the playoffs like this. What does our offense have to do? Where do you take it from here, Dan?
This is, again, building on the success they had in the last 3 quarters of the football game. This was as close to a complete game. Again, 3 quarters of football that they have played in quite a while. It's been usually just half. They got to 3 quarters today. That's something they haven't really done in about a month. So I give them credit there. And again, I will tell you this: every loss the Chiefs have had this year, it's come down to not executing. Every single loss.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that if this team does what they did today in the last 3 quarters of the football game, the rest of the year, whoever they play, they will be in that football game. And if they execute, they will win that football game.
If
they
they
don't,
do that, they will be the
lose.
Eagles. Yeah.
Exactly. Any team, it doesn't matter. There is no juggernaut in the NFL this year. There's none. Everybody is susceptible. Execute and you win. You don't, you lose. Simple as that.
It is pretty straightforward. There are no 2 ways about it, to tell you the truth. Javante, thank you, buddy. I hope you're doing well. Lev, thank you, buddy. If you could redo the deadline with what you know now, would you try trading a healthy Kadarius Toney and swap a pick for the Panthers, slimming down the room, the actual fix? Man, that's a good question, but no. The simple fact that Kadarius Toney has upside and has a ceiling, very, very few other players can reach. So I probably would not have, because even if he has to be the 4th or the 5th receiver, he still has that special ability you can't go out and get anywhere else. Like, it's very few players that have that kind of quick area acceleration that can get out of plays.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I was excited about him coming into the year, but we've seen it now. We have data. Kadarius Toney is an injury bug. He's an injury waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I'd much rather deal with maybe a lesser talented player, but he's going to play the entire time, or take a shot on someone again in the draft that maybe has upside that is not proven to be an NFL injury bug waiting to happen. So I understand, like, I like Kadarius in terms of what he offers to this offense. If they want to use him as a pure wide receiver, sure. But at the end of the day, is he going to be on the field making plays for them when it matters most? I know he was last year in the postseason. I know he was. Is that going to continue?
That's the $1 million question, or the $6 million question, or whatever it is this year.
Yeah, right.
Steven, this is specifically for you, Dan. Who are the receivers that you like in the draft and can realistically get? I love Troy Franklin a lot.
Oh, man. So me and my buddy Damien, if you guys don't follow Damien on Twitter, you absolutely should, because he's a fantastic draft analyst. But we talk every day. We were talking about Troy Franklin earlier, and we believe, based off of what we've seen, that he's Jalen Hyatt who can actually run routes. And
I love that.
Damien told me that. I'm like, yeah, that's who that is. And he can run routes, and he has that pure speed. I think he's probably faster than Jalen Hyatt is in terms of acceleration. I think he's faster. So I love Troy Franklin. I love that a lot. People are going to be high on Adonai Mitchell. Doesn't move the needle for me. I'm not really big on him in the first round. I wouldn't take Xavier Worthy, even though he's impressed me. He's a small guy. He's like McCole Hardman, who can run routes much better than McCole Hardman can. So I like the player. I think I'd like him more in the second round than the first. But Agreed. What do we got here? Wide receiver. I think they can trade up. I'll be honest. I think that they can trade up in this draft. Where they're at, you're going to have, like, the guys that I was just talking about are going to be the ones that are about right there. Maybe Brian Thomas out of LSU. Maybe he reaches into the first round based off of what he's done lately. But I think right now the Chiefs can trade up in this draft and go after an Odunze, a Coleman, a Neighbors, whoever ends up falling out of those 3. Because I think one of them is going to fall. The Chiefs can go get that player if they want to.
It's funny because Jonathan and I are on the same wavelength here. Odunze will be the best receiver on this team next year.
From what I'm seeing from right now, I think he's going to be a lot of people's wide receiver 2 in this draft. I think
Yeah,
he's going to do that. I don't think he's the one that's going to fall. I think it's going to be Coleman.
agreed. It's hit and miss, and honestly, with the Travis injury, I think that kind of limits like the lasting impression. And I know it shouldn't, but there are front offices in this league that lasting impression does make a difference. So we'll see what happens,
Absolutely.
Jonathan. Appreciate you.
Thank you, John.
And I do have a Dunze as number 2 right now. Followed by Neighbors is my 3. Am I in the range where you're at, or am I off base?
I don't have enough Washington offense, so I'm not holding evaluations on them yet. But as of right now, because I know that Dunze is going to be up there, so he's my default 4.
Gotcha.
But I have it, I have it Harrison, I have it Neighbors, and then I have Coleman. I have a feeling that Dunze is going to jump Coleman when this is all said and done.
Yeah, I think so as well. Val, hope you're doing good. Thanks, buddy, for another super chat. Appreciate you, pal. As a former corner, McDuffie has some of the best teach tape. As if he was 6'1", he would be world class. And that's the thing, 6'1" and 32-inch reach, right? Yeah. And if you go back to Washington, you could see the detail in his zone drops, but you didn't get to see him play enough man. So that's the thing that's really come along for me is how quick he's in and out of his footwork in man that we didn't get to see in college. Like, that's something that you not only had to scout, like you had to go test him. It was up to the scouts at the pro day, and the Huskies hold a junior pro day every year. So he's been on tape and he's been on record for a couple of seasons. I had a buddy that was at Washington's pro day last year, and it was very, very evident that he was going to be able to make that leap. So I agree with you. He can certainly teach technique pretty much anywhere. And that's a nice thing to have in your future CB1 that can help bring the rest of your young corners along as well.
I'm still so mad that throw was so perfect. He got beat by a perfect throw, but Trent McDuffie was in perfect coverage. He was in perfect coverage, and he got beat by a perfect throw. That's so frustrating. And you want to know what happens? He doesn't let it bother him. He doesn't let that bother him.
You shrug it off, you come back.
That's another whole thing. He's fantastic.
Oh, Stephen, you nailed my guy. I'm going to show it up here later as we get to wrap up here, folks. I do have radio, and if you missed Locked On Chiefs, go back and check that out as well. We have a few more super chats. We're going to make sure that we get them, and then we'll give you our takeaways and game balls. Jeremiah, about 3rd and short, coming into a normal set and handing the ball off to Pacheco. Love that, but we've seen that before where they don't get it done. So I'm really about let's run double tight. Let's run jumbo. Hell, I'm fine putting in a 6 offensive lineman. I don't care. Just get it done. Would I prefer to see still a fullback that can get it done in here? Yeah, but that's just not the case. So they got to find out what works for them. And as long as they can get 3rd and short, I'm going to be okay either way.
It's funny that, the Bills have realized that they don't have very good blocking tight ends. Well, when Quentin Morris was injured, they didn't have a very good blocking tight end. So they accepted, we're going to bring 6 offensive linemen, but we're going to rotate it in and out quite a bit. So you don't necessarily always know what's going to happen.
You're not
but they never do it. They never do it. And for some reason, they believe they have extra offensive linemen in their tight ends. But you want to know the most frustrating thing about the Chiefs right now? They bring out 13 personnel and they never run out of it. They always pass out of it every single time. They ran it 5 times today. They threw out of it every single time. And that pisses me off. Run the damn ball out of 13 personnel.
Yes, folks, that was Daniel saying run the damn ball. It was not me. I just wanted to point that out because, you guys have been listening to me for years. So cheers. And Dan, I like the gusto there. That's nice. Thank you, Jeremiah. Duncan, by the way, is it a March release now on Dune 2? I'm really interested there. Way too early question. Any idea we can expect to having Tranquil back next year? Plus, where might the Chiefs stand on extensions for Creed and Trey? I think Creed and Bolton are going to be the priorities for extensions. I think Trey will probably come behind. But again, this is a right guard that is not an all-pro level. Trey's good. Could he make Pro Bowl? Possibly. He's not an all-pro. Let's be real. So you can get him in a bit of a discount. But I do think Tranquil has to be a priority as well in the free agency market. I think he'll want to come back. It all depends on how they finish this season, but I expect him back next year.
I'll be honest. I don't know if they're going to bring Trey Smith back.
Yeah?
I don't know. And I don't think that he's as good as the contract he's going to want. I just don't think he is. I'll be honest. He's been largely okay in run in his
Mhm.
run blocking and pretty bad in pass protection. He's been pretty bad this season specifically, and it's a contract year for him. So that's another thing that I'm struggling with too. He's not playing very well in terms of getting better. He's pretty much been the same player he's always been. As a rookie to now, he's pretty much been the same player. So again, if he wants a better contract than the Chiefs think he's worth, I don't think that they would say, okay, fine, we'll give it to you. I think that they might say, hey, go test the market. We might be able to draft ourselves a guard.
Possibly. Yeah. I mean, he is under contract for 24. So that would be his real contract year.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. My
So
bad. My bad. He's been 3 years.
I agree with you though. Like he made his first year leap, and then it's been pretty status quo since then. So I see where you're coming from, and I hope that gets to the point where next year we see another leap. But Duncan, we'll see how that goes. How do you feel about Tranquil though? Do you think that's a possibility, or should it be a priority?
I think he should be a priority because again, he's not going to be. I mean, unless someone throws a bag at him, which they might. He's playing fantastic, and they might throw a bag at him, and he might want that. But I think that they might be, they might want to make that a priority for their linebacker crew.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Like, could someone really go after him? I do think it's a possibility. What did
Yeah.
his number come out to be? I can't remember what his bonus was. It was 510 plus a workout bonus, so 550. It's really not that much. He's playing Cheap Charlie right now. This is what he was drafted in 19, so he's only 60, not even 5 seasons in. So, yeah, I do think it's worth making a bigger investment in him, as well as protecting him for his fit in the defense. Steven, can we restructure Jawaan Taylor this season? And I will show you this as I go through it. It's very sick. And they did this on purpose, and I believe it is because of this, whether he assumed the left tackle position or not. But you can see how it is a straight contract.
Yeah.
They very, very rarely do this, where his base and his bonus are the same all the time, no matter what. Yes, his cap dollars are going to go up because of the evolution of the length of the contract, but having that 19 as a base every year means that there is room to maneuver in restructuring. And I do think that is a distinct possibility.
Cool.
Okay, rock on. I just want to see if you disagreed in any way.
No, I'm not the cap. I'm not the contract guy. I leave that up to you and Chris when he's on.
Oh yeah, and sometimes I just have to ask Chris. So hey, Andrew McCall, Karlaftis leads this team with 8 sacks. Does that surprise you at this point, Dan?
It does, and I think it's 7.
Is it?
I don't know. I'm gonna look because I thought it was 7.
Okay. Chris has definitely been just manhandled lately in the amounts of doubles and even triple teams that Chris Jones is getting. And so George Karlaftis should be the guy that's getting it. If it's not him, it should be a Menahue. One of the two of them should be taking up all that slack and getting the benefits of playing next to Chris Jones. So I'm glad that you bring this up, Andrew. Appreciate it because it is important because here's the big thing for me is if Chris is drawing all those doubles and all that attention and somebody isn't taking advantage of it, then that's a problem. Now, you also have to remember.
It is 7 because PFF credits half sacks for full sacks. So we have to remember that.
Gotcha. The other thing that you have to remember, too, is that McDuffie's got a couple. They've been sending Snead. They've been sending the linebackers. There's a lot more pressure and therefore a few more sacks that are going to players outside of the front 4. So it does diminish everybody's total numbers a little bit as well. But hey, honestly, the number that we want to track is how many pressures and how many sacks are gotten by this defense overall. Yeah, thank you, Andrew.
Game was a little weird in that regard. Like they didn't really
it seemed like
get after the quarterback. And I think that was really good game plan from the Raiders. They mixed in their play action well. They did a good job of getting those 3rd and shorts. So you couldn't really just go after him. And the times they did, they kind of got beat early in the game. So yeah, I give hats off to him. DJ, I understand what you're saying. I'm telling you right now, I'm just saying he's got 7 on PFF right now because they give half sacks as full sacks. They don't give half sacks on PFF. So if you're looking there, they're wrong. He has half
go
sacks.
check NFL.com to make sure. Those are the official statistics. Charles, thanks. Appreciate you, buddy. I will go back and check and see if you had a question as well. Steven, Poke makes the most sense in this draft. And I've mentioned Poke a number of times because I do love his game. He had a bad concentration drop yesterday that bothered me. But overall, he is a dude. He will be a second tier, maybe even a third tier player because there's going to be a lot of talent at the top of the wide receiver group this season. So I think I don't know if you can get him in the 60s, but if they either trade back or if they miss or they do something else with their first back, if they decide to go up to around that 45 to 50 range, I think Poke should be available.
I haven't seen one route that he's run this year. So
okay.
I'll be honest. I haven't watched him.
I patiently wait for your evaluation. I think you're going to dig him. Steven, what would you give up for a National Fullbacks Day? I'd give up bitching about it. I'll tell you that. I just the concept of people recognizing the position as the run game comes back, I think we'll get a little bit more, and I think there'll be a couple extra teams, maybe some old school coaches that'll run some fullback. I don't know, Avery. Maybe. What do you think?
What do you think? What do you think about the Chiefs win today? Were you happy about it? You're being shy. Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah,
that's all right. Do you hope you're doing good, buddy? Wanted to give a shout out to Noah Gray for getting 3 for 30. Yep, absolutely. Also, can you recall if the Raiders ever played a game without one penalty? That is something I have not remembered ever. So, hey, Chiefs did a good job pulling themselves back. The Raiders did even better. That's pretty crazy.
It was a bit ridiculous, I'll be honest. I couldn't believe that they got no penalties. It was just like, I'm not so sure about that, guys.
I mean, come on. You know you can call something on every play on both teams. But yeah, it is what it is. I'll take it. Thanks to you. PK, hope you're well. Where is Felix Anadike Osama? That is a good question. I'm guessing he didn't get a whole lot. I only saw him, I want to say, once. Maybe I wasn't doing the greatest job tracking it today because I did get a little caught up in what was going on in the secondary. So maybe I missed something. But
I don't know, man. I think right now they're just kind of you're learning, and it's okay. Think of this as Patrick Mahomes' rookie year. Think of it like that. Let him learn because he kind of needed to learn. I'll tell you, he had the best pass rush toolbox, but he needed to get some sand in his pants and learn how to defend the run. That's the biggest reason that he's not playing a lot. And also, they really love their NASCAR package right now. They love their NASCAR package, and Felix isn't needed right now. He can watch and he can learn, and it's okay to have a first round draft pick that doesn't play every snap, guys. I know it's hard. But it's okay.
Adam, appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Say hi to your cousin for us. We appreciate you. Glad you made it. Latavius, sorry. I always forget the end. What about the running back from Oregon, Zero? Can you guys think we can get him? I mean, is Bucky's he make it into day 2?
Oh yeah, Bucky will be a day 2 player.
Yeah,
these running backs. I don't think you're going to see a running back go on day 1.
I hope not.
I don't think you're going to.
Let's hope sanity prevails. I'll tell you this too. I love the budget Dylan Johnson from Washington in like the 6th. If you,
I'm a big fan of Dylan Johnson too. I'm a big fan of watching him play. He's not like Pacheco. He's got a little bit better vision, but he runs as hard as Pacheco does. Like he is like, I'm just going to run. And good luck tackling me. It's me hitting you. Like this is what has to happen.
Exactly. And I'll tell you this, what they do with the Wildcat with him, I enjoy quite a bit. I think there's room to take that to the NFL level. Some teams do that. Miami will do that from time, but I think the Chiefs could look at that as well. I know nobody wants to hear about taking the ball away from Patrick Mahomes, but hey, at times, let's help Patrick out.
I've gotten a lot of questions about Cody Schrader from Mizzou, guys. I don't think the Chiefs are going to draft him. I don't particularly think he's that great.
Okay.
I think he's fine. I think he's a good college player.
Is Burton a top 50 for you?
Next year.
Okay, so he's not coming. I thought he was. Okay, cool. Because I've only seen 2 games, so I wasn't quite sure on my opinion.
Unless I'm wrong, I thought he was a true freshman last year.
Okay. So, folks, what you're getting here is that Dan still lives in the area, so he gets local games, and I see all the Pac-12. I want K-State's tight end on this team, dude.
Bunny is saying hi to everybody.
Hi, buddy.
They said hi.
I cannot remember the K-State tight end's name, but hey, I'm not going to argue because even Stover, who I thought might be one of the better tight ends, looked pretty bad yesterday. By the way, congrats to your Wolverines there, Daniel.
Let's go. Let's go, Big Blue.
Holly, why do I never feel 100% good about the Chiefs win this season? Too picky, I guess. No, you're a seasoned Chiefs fan. That's why. Because it's fleeting, and there's always something that could have gone wrong. I think that's hilarious. Thank you for putting it out there, Holly. Glad you made it. A tip, how many Oregon Ducks does KC draft in the draft? I got it at 2. I mean, I think there's at least 1. I wish the defensive backs were better after losing Gonzalez last year to the draft. Like, I would have hoped that somebody was trying to take his place, but I don't see the step up there. So I'm not sure you're going to see much from the defense this year. And that linebacker kid that I had hopes for early in the season, I don't know if he got hurt or he got benched, but he ain't playing much. So we'll see.
No, they've got two legit three legit offensive players in their center. I can't remember his name, who's an ass kicker. They have Bucky Irving, and then obviously the guy we've been talking about, Troy Franklin. And those are the 3 guys. I think
Bo Nix.
I'm talking about legit players.
Okay.
I don't think Bo Nix is a legit player, but that's just me.
Okay.
Not to mention he's going to get his AARP card before he gets into the NFL.
I said the same shit about Aiden O'Connell. I got to tell you. So I ain't taking anybody off the list right now.
He'll still be on my list, but I mean, the Raiders are going to be drafting a quarterback if they get a chance. I'll just tell you that.
Yeah. Hey, fair enough. Folks, I think we're going to wrap it there. That's the last of the super chats. I'm just double checking my notes if there's any other major takeaways that I missed. Dan, any overriding thoughts from you that we haven't talked about?
I mean, this was a really ho-hum game from the Chiefs. Like, it was not anything overly. Please stop with the bunny. It wasn't anything overly crazy. They didn't do anything ridiculous outside of execute their plays. I thought that was the biggest thing here, is that execution makes the biggest difference. And when you execute, it doesn't look hard. The Chiefs didn't look like this game was hard after the first quarter. It felt easy. It felt like they just were going to win.
That works for me.
That's my main takeaway.
Yeah,
execution.
And I like this one, so we'll wrap up on it, folks. Make sure you like, sub, hit the bell, hit the memberships. If you do, connect your Discord, go in there, log in, and connect to your YouTube. It's in the connections tab within Discord, and then you'll get into all the rooms super easily. By the way, that Holly loves Avery. Jack Skeleton. Okay, I like that. I'm glad you knew what it was, Holly. Well done.
You've never seen Nightmare Before Christmas? Never?
Maybe once. I was probably drinking. Not when I had kids. So
stop motion claymation stuff from
right. Yeah, it's Tim Burton. That's why I didn't. Do you guys think that Nico makes the team next year? Lontavius, thanks for bringing this up, and I'm glad you mentioned it. It's all about who survives this season. As you can see, some guys are fading away. We talked earlier this preseason that this expected for us to be MVS's last year in Kansas City. I think we're all confirming that. How many survive? We're going to have to find out. The Ross thing, I think, is going to be an interesting deal. We'll see what happens, but he's definitely got a shot, and I like what we saw from him. So,
yeah, there's 3 guys that are on the team right now that probably won't be there next year, in my guess.
Watson, MVS, and
Hardman.
Okay, fair enough. Scuba Steve, thanks for the last second super chat, because you know how much I dig those. K-State fullback Jax Deneen. I cannot remember that. Hey, I think Casey from KU is going to be able to come out as well, and he's a nice H there too. Looks pretty good. I will take a look at him. I did see the K-State game 3 weeks ago. I didn't see him do a whole lot, but I will definitely take another look at him. Steve, appreciate you. If you would love to have him drafted. Yeah, hey, let's get a fullback. I don't know that you have to draft him. That's okay. I don't care. I'll take UDFAs. I just need a fullback on the roster again, Randy. Okay. And I did say Randy, not Andy, because I think Randy's more apt to listen to me. you guys
That's
remember
true.
Eric Stone Street's characters.
Yeah.
Miss Avery, we're going to let you go to bed. We're going to let you guys enjoy Sunday Night Football, and I'm going to go eat some dinner before I have to do something else. So thank you very much for being with us. Like, sub, hit the bell. Make sure you check out NFL33.com, especially with all the draft class talk. You can find some of the information there. Dan and I are working over there. You got Billy Rossetti. You got Brandon Olson. We've got some great writers that are contributing as well. And we have everything spooled up. I'm going to have my first probably wide receiver. No, I'll start with quarterbacks. I'll have my quarterback stack out probably in 2 weeks. Pre-Christmas for sure, so you can see where the rankings stand. So we appreciate your time being with us, Dan. Anything fun for Monday?
I don't know, man. I'm gonna probably get some. Actually, the Christmas lights had to get up. I had to buy all new Christmas lights today because they all broke in storage apparently. So I had to buy all new ones, and I'm gonna get them set up on the house tomorrow at some point. I'm not entirely sure when, but that's what I'm doing. And then when the film drops, I will be watching the film this week for sure.
Rock and roll. You guys have more for you all week long. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central, Q&A. Your show is running. Have a great one, and we'll talk to you then.